And apparently we are live. So, yes, Nerdly Out Loud tonight is going live. We are going to be joined with some of the guys from the Romford Film Festival. As you may know, I'm heavily involved in all of this. It's been absolutely amazing being part of this. And I'm going to be going down there it's like now in a minute. It's like not this Friday, but next Friday, I'm going to be jumping on the train down to London town because, I'm one of those little Englanders that doesn't live in London. And I'll be going down to Romford, part of the festival. There's going to be loads of movies there to watch. So, yeah, please do all those amazing things while we're doing this. There is the like, the subscribe, the notification bell on YouTube and everything like that. We're streaming live to Facebook and to YouTube as well, which is a first for us. Probably going to fail, but we'll try our best to get through this. I'll introduce the panel in a quick hot second. I'll start bringing them all in. We've got a little bit of a fun idea to go through and sort of build our own little mini festival. We're all getting some picks for what we would have if we were to have our own sort of section within the fest for the panel. So we're going to be talking about that in a second. Thank you all for coming. If you're watching live, that is absolutely amazing. There is a little chat function that you can start throwing questions in, and if your question is good enough, we'll ask it. I mean, to be fair, even if it's not good enough, we'll probably still ask it, but we'll talk about all that. Right, so that's the bumpy stuff, that's the business stuff, the paperwork out the way. Let's start getting these guys in because I am super excited to get this started. First of all, I'm going to bring in the commander-in-chief, the man that is, the legend that is, Mr. Spencer Hawken. He is let's just let Spencer introduce himself.
Hello.
How are you doing, Spence?
I'm all right. You all right?
Yeah, I'm not bad. This is, it's pretty nerve-wracking, but we'll get there. So why don't you tell everyone who is watching or maybe isn't watching what the crack is with yourself, what you do with the festival, and why the hell would you do a festival?
So about 10 years ago, I discovered that a lot of festivals were slightly corrupt.
Nice.
And I found myself in a position where I could right some of those wrongs. And when I say that, so for those of you that don't know, I run a shopping centre in Romford. The shopping centre just so happens to have a cinema. And I persuaded the guys at the cinema to let us run a film festival. And that's what we've done now since 2017. So this is year number 6. We didn't stop for things like COVID. And I'd like to think that, I'm sure some others will disagree when they don't win awards, that we offer a completely straight up film festival. And, we kind of cover that part of East London and Essex.
Awesome. And like myself being part of the selection and the judging and everything, we have a whole band of merry men who help us out, and women, of course, and women. Carrie's in the green room sitting there just saying, come on, what about me? But we're going to move on to the man, the myth, that legend that is, he loves Macquiz, he loves Shibble, and he loves snacky snacks. He's also got a doctorate in film, I'm told. Let's bring on Peter Blunden.
Hello.
How are you,
I
Peter?
do love snacky snacks.
You do.
I should clarify, I don't have a doctorate. I have a master's. Maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Is that not the same thing?
No, I can't claim that it is, unfortunately. No.
So, Peter, one thing that I've not really spoken to you about when we've been talking through these discussions that we have, because we often have very long, arduous discussions about these movies, is how exactly did you get involved in the Romford Film Festival?
Yep. So I've in the past worked on a lot of different film festivals around London, and I am a resident of Romford. And I thought, obviously, when I heard about the festival, I should get involved. And I approached Spencer to see if he needed any help. And he, for some reason, said yes. And here I am. This is my third Romford Film Festival. And I've also done 2 horrific horror festivals. So
yeah, we've got Horror Fest as well, haven't we? That's and what's been your favourite? Do you prefer the main festival or do you love that Horror Fest now?
I like them both for different reasons. The Horror Fest this year particularly was absolutely brilliant. attendances were fantastic, and it was so nice to see everyone enjoying themselves. And the horror crowd are a special crowd of people, and it was just it was really, really great. Really nice to see in only the second year of the festival, it's really taken off. So yeah, Horrorfest is brilliant. The main festival, is great as well, because there's a real variety of films, which is kind of stuff that I love. So two great festivals.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And we have one of our newest members to the panel and the selection and everything like that. Where she loves Grogu. She speaks fluent Spanish, not fluent Romford though. She loves cocktail making. There's not much else we know about Carrie, so we're going to get her in to talk about herself.
Hello.
And Carrie doesn't come with a second name because I don't know what it is.
I'm an enigma.
So, Carrie, this is kind of your first year with us, and obviously you've been helping out the festival in years gone by and everything like that. But now you're part and parcel of the judging and the selection. So, how are you loving it, and why get involved in this strenuous, stressful time?
It's fun. When I found out that the Romford Film Festival existed, I very quickly became part of the furniture in the cinema. Even more so with the horror, to the point where I would sit from start to finish with the mission of trying to watch every single thing on screen, and that would lead to me feeling very sick by the end of it, full of popcorn and sweets and everything. And I was asked if I wanted to be part of the actual judging of the festival, because not only did I become part of the furniture watching it, I also started submitting my own work, because I too have a master's in film.
You do. So that means like you are like a doctor of filming.
Film.
I mean, you do.
Just a master.
You guys keep on saying no to that, but you definitely.
We're very modest. We're very modest.
But what does it actually mean to have a master's in film?
Do you want to answer that, Carrie?
We've got very different masters. For me, it's all about studying film in different ways. So I got the chance to study it in terms of one course was vegan cinema, which was bizarre. About why they've done it in this way. But I know that your master's is more world cinema, whereas mine was more like the basics, so through history.
Awesome. And that totally didn't explain anything, but I'll take it. Hopefully the people at home will understand what any of that means.
Next stage after an undergraduate. There we go. Another 2 years. There we go.
Nice.
You also have to understand that Carrie is talking in Romford.
I am fluent in Romford. That was a fib on your behalf.
It's a language all on its own.
So I've heard, and hopefully I'm going to get to meet some of these language talkers when I come down there. So what we decided to do was tonight, in a way to kind of get people to understand sort of where we come from with some of our picks and whatnot, I thought it'd be cool to come up with a little idea where we're going to basically select sort of a mini fest. So like during the festival, we have certain sections like short sections, documentary sections and stuff like that. So this would be kind of like the panel selection sort of thing. Not necessarily the best movies at the festival, not necessarily the worst, but the films that we think should be in a nice little section and go by itself. And we are each going to be picking... Are we doing 4 or are we doing 5?
Let's do 5. 5.
Well, now I really am putting because I've only got 4. So I'm going to have to think on the fly here. So each of us is going to pick 5 movies. We're going to do it in a sort of a snake draft. And I think I was going to go with Peter, you'll go first, then we'll go to Spencer, then we'll go to Carrie, and then we'll come to me. Then I'll pick 2, and then we'll go back the way around. Hopefully we'll remember what that format was, and it won't get all jumbled up. In the end, we'll end up having 5, 10, 15, 25 movies. That was quick maths for me. And we will come up with sort of a little bit of a theme, and I've got little bits and pieces as we go as well. I'll be asking cheeky little questions on the way. So let's just get started with this. We've explained what it's all about. There is only really one rule, and that is if somebody picks a movie that is on your list, it's off the board. You can no longer use that film, and you've got to think super fast. And yeah, this is where it's going to fall down for everyone. So, what do you say?
To see if there's any overlap. I'm interested.
I think
we all have quite similar in some areas tastes, and then very different ones in others. So I'm interested to find out.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking, and it's sort of let's just get into it. So, Peter, you are going to go first, which means you're probably going to steal everyone's movie right now.
I think I might possibly steal one of Spencer's, but I don't think I'll steal anyone else's. My one is an obvious one for me. It's going to be Empty Flower Pot.
Ah, yes.
Do you want to know my reasons?
Yeah, you give us a little description of the movie itself and your reasons why you would put it in there.
Yeah. So first thing to say, obviously, it's directed by Kenichi Ugana, who's a friend of the festival, who everyone will know as the director of Extraneous Matter, the infamous Sex Squid film from the two versions of the horror festival. And also Visitors, which was the zombie, like the Evil Dead kind of one that we had this year, which everyone loved. So this is a feature film. And the reason, I guess, is I think Kenichi's really getting better with each film. He's really, really going up a level each time. And this one is really mature. It's not an easy film. That's the first thing to say. It's very heavy. The theme is basically a father and husband loses his daughter who is kidnapped and murdered, and his wife commits suicide, which we find out in the first kind of 10-15 minutes of the film. So it's very heavy subject-wise. It's very East Asian in sort of tone. So if you think of some of the Korean films, there's been some really great but dark Korean films over the last sort of 10 to 15 years. It's very much in that style, very bleak. There's not any music or anything like that. It's basically just sort of following this guy around as he reacts to these things. But he does some really interesting things with time. So it's a very cold kind of opening. You don't quite know what's happening. And there's lots of different time jumps dropped in and in flashbacks as part of the story. I just thought it was really inventive. And the ending was heartbreaking. There's like a fantasy ending, and it's absolutely heartbreaking.
you do like your depressing, weird picks, don't you?
Well, yeah, I do like my serious films sometimes. Yeah, but definitely that's the number one pick.
There's nothing wrong with that. And Spencer, do you want to move on to your first pick?
So I'd like to point out right at the start, I'm playing a dirty game here. So I'm picking films that I think other people may pick, just to really bug them.
Here we go. Some people just want to see the world burn.
Yeah. I am that person. So the film that I am selecting first is a film that really, I think, told a really good story very, very well. It reminded me of a BBC Three comedy and it is absolutely flawless.
I think I know what it is.
It's the story of a young girl in South London and the turmoils that she goes through in terms of just general life as a teenager and the anxiety that she goes through, and of course, boys. So the film that I'm putting in the hat is Tildy Pops.
Tildy Pops.
Good shout.
That is a good shout. You've not taken one of mine though, so I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. And just on a side note, a little sidebar to that, I had a feeling that some people might play this sneaky little game, which is why you'll notice I've made it so I get 2 picks in a row. So, Carrie, let's move on to your first pick.
Right, so I'm going to go for The Stag.
Nice.
It is a story of a lad just trying to pull. I think my reasoning for the pick is the guy's performance for a start. It's just something about you'd love to hate him. He is that total lad that you know he could get away with anything. And rewatching it, I noticed some things in it that I hadn't picked up the first time round, which made me appreciate it even more. There's just these little details that, it's the fact that there is rewatch value in it, and you love to hate the guy, and the ending is just absolutely bizarre in a great way. It's hard to describe it without spoiling it, especially as a short. So that is where I'll leave that.
So quickly for you, Carrie, seeing as you're sort of like this is your kind of first year on the panel sort of thing. How have you seen the level of submissions that we've had this year? Like, where do you think they compare to in years gone by, where you've just been a viewer, sort of getting in amongst watching everything?
I think the levels, it's been absolutely astounding. There will be one or two where you think, okay, there'll be a dud here and there, but when it got to trying to decide, there was so many great films. It ended up being heartbreaking if they don't get through. You can definitely tell that the quality is just improving year by year, and even the short local films, there's just so much great talent around Romford. It's just bizarre. Not bizarre, it's amazing.
I like that. It's just bizarre.
I just want to say, in addition to what Carrie's just said there,
Yep.
I think if we'd have had the time, we could easily have put another 100 films through that we all enjoyed.
Yeah.
And that's where the trouble laid this year. We've added extra days, and there was so much that unfortunately we just had to not let through. Not because there was anything wrong with it. It was just like maybe two films were similar. And it was heartbreaking this year. Definitely.
I like that a lot. So, given Spencer's already given the game away, I'm going to move my list around a little bit here because I don't want anybody stealing one of my picks, and I would be devastated if they did. I'm going to start with a movie that it's just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But much like The Stag, how Carrie says the lead actor just got into the role. This film, if you watch this at the festival and you don't love this guy instantly, there is something wrong with you. Door Salesman Dave is my first pick.
I knew where you were going.
I loved Door Salesman Dave. Is it a perfect short? No, it's not perfect. It has some issues, but just the commitment to this role and the way he portrays Door Salesman Dave, and it's the director as well, isn't it? He's the director of the short as well. It's just levels above, and I just think he's absolutely brilliant. And I hate all of you for not giving him the Best Actor nomination, or even the Best Actor win, because he's awesome. So yeah, Door Salesman Dave was, just in case Spencer stole it, I had to get that in there. And I guess I've got a second pick as well. So on that, I'll move straight into Pandemic Spy is one that I rewatched recently. Forgot how good it actually was, considering it's a two-hander on a bench, or the fact that they can't sit on the bench. I was kind of done with lockdown movies and shorts and everything like that. There's loads of them. We all know that we've watched about 100 of them. I was kind of done with them, but we've had a couple of outside the box ones which have really impressed. And for me, this was one of them because it was lockdown in a microcosm, but assassin hitman spy-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So
very inventive, yeah. Very good idea.
Just a great movie, and I hope people go and see that one. So
how would all the spies function if they weren't allowed to be? They weren't allowed to hand briefcases and clues and notes to each other. Yeah, very funny.
It was though, and we had a couple like that. But that one for me, I rewatched it the other night because Spencer kept mentioning it in the discussion we were having, and for some reason I was kind of like sat there thinking, why is that one escaping me? So I went back and rewatched it. I'm like, oh man, I love that. So yeah, that's my number 2 pick. which means we go back to Carrie.
Yes, and you've taken Pandemic Spy from me, so
Oh, hell. Sorry.
That's how you play
to you, I
it.
guess. So my next pick would be Last Orders, which is a young girl working in a pub just trying to deal with generic pub antics.
Yeah.
But the reason I love this so much is that if you've just ever been in a woman's in a woman's toilet, it's just a different world. And I'm sort of like, none of you can relate, and this hurts me.
That's assuming we've never been in any women's toilets.
If you have, you're not going to experience it the same way we do. Just to walk into a women's toilet completely drunk on a night out, I mean, you make the best friends. I've got people on Facebook that I've added, and I've worked on a film with one that we spotted in a nightclub in Sheffield, and you know, you never know where these friendships can lead you. It's absolutely bizarre, but painfully realistic and relatable. I like a good relatable film, no matter how cringeworthy it can get.
Mm.
The lead actress is really good in that as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
She is. We went back and forth with that one for a while, didn't we? For the actress, that was a cool little shot as well. But I mean, I wouldn't have thought a toilet is where you go to network. So
no, you're missing out. Try it.
I might get sent down for that.
Not in Romford, you won't.
Not in Romford.
You're gonna love Romford.
It's a badge of honour.
A badge of honour. So with that, I believe that takes us back to Spencer.
Okay, so my second pick, I picked because it reminded me of an era of my life that I absolutely loved. And right at the dawn of Channel 4, they had a series of films called First Love. And First Love was like capsules of time. And they were just really well shot, really well thought out, really well written. The most famous of all of these is undoubtedly Patang Yang Kipabang, which I absolutely love with a passion. So this film reminded me so much of this series of films from Channel 4's early days. It's set in 1939, and I'm not going to say too much about it other than it's about a young girl who just doesn't want to be part of the education system. There's a lot going on with culture and religion and just not fitting in. And yeah, this film really, really played out to me. It's beautifully written. It's wonderfully acted. And the cinematography is stunning. And the film is called The Writing Box.
Nice. This was the what was that one about again? Sorry.
It's well, I don't really want to say too much because it kind of ruins part of it. But I mean, it's about kind of like post-colonialism. It's just a sensitive period of time, you know, like midway through the war. What people own and what they don't own, and what nations people own and what they don't own, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was really nice. I really enjoyed it.
It's just really nice. So on that, we are going to bounce into Peter. And Peter, in between your two picks here, because you have two picks this time around, I want to ask you a cheeky question. So take a breath between the two films.
Okay. So pick number 2 is, I think, one of the most originally written films we had. It was a kind of film where I just didn't know where it was going. And I don't remember seeing a film like it before, which is great. It's always nice to get something really original, really something that I look out for. The locations were stunning and really, really well shot. Really intriguing film with an enigmatic ending, which is open to quite a few different interpretations. Just a really bold storytelling, and it's American short, and it's called Colossus.
Nice.
Which is one of my favourite picks of the whole. One of my favourite shorts that we had. It was just excellent, really, really excellent. So very briefly, the plot, I guess, is so there's an American pilot, Air Force. Is that the right word? Yes. During World War II, and he gets shot down by something that he doesn't quite understand what it is, and he ends up on a, crash lands in the sea, and then ends up on a beach, and then he sees that it appears to be a UFO that shot him down, and basically he becomes obsessed with finding out what exactly this was, and it changes his life for the negative, shall we say. As he becomes obsessed with it, and it takes over his life and basically ruins his family life and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, really, really great film, Colossus.
Both the leads in this were absolutely fantastic as well. The young lad and the old man, they both nail that film. Like it's a really, really good shot. That. So right, you've been with the festival 3-4 years now, and I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh God.
Of all the movies that you have watched for the festival, what would you say is the best thing that you've seen come through the fest?
Wow.
And tangent to that, and you don't really have to answer this one, what's the worst thing you've seen come through?
Does it have to be a film that we've played?
It doesn't have to be one you played. I'll tell you what, let's open this one up to everyone as well.
Oh God, that's hard.
Wipe the memory of everything that we haven't played.
Okay, so favorite. That's a really tough question.
I was going to give you a heads up on that question, but I decided not to. Because my face go red.
Okay, so on a technical level, I think there was a film not last year, year before. It was the year before, wasn't it? Yeah. Shibble, which was I think it's safe to say quite a Marmite film. It's a very sort of grand scale, epic kind of film. Not for everyone, but I think in terms of sorry, Spencer, go on.
I was just going to say that was the year that we renamed the Romford Film Festival the Shibble Film Festival, wasn't it?
It was. Yes, it won many awards, and got nominated for several more. But yeah, I think if memory serves me correct, the director was 19 at the time. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, just in terms of the technicals and the direction and the scale of that film for, someone so young was absolutely ridiculous. And you can see it on Netflix, by the way. So I mean, not always a badge of quality, Netflix, but I think it says quite a lot that they managed to get a film like that onto Netflix. So I mean, Shibble was one of the first things that popped in to my head is certainly one of the standout pieces. Yeah.
And Spencer, can you think of anything?
And so for me, my favourite ever film we're going to be showing this year, I'm not going to mention it.
Cool.
But prior to that, the film that I really, really loved the most was a last-minute addition when the film Cat and the Band got pulled because it got distribution. And the film was called The Kings of Mulberry Street. And this was proper... The only way I can describe it is a film that you would sit around the television on Christmas Day and you would watch as a family, and it had everything. Musical numbers, comedy, fantastic performances, and it all kind of wrapped itself up nicely by the end with this massive dance routine. It rocked. It truly rocked. And yeah, that up until this year was my favourite film.
And Carrie, is there anything screaming out at you that you can remember seeing?
Yes, there are two, but I might need your help to remember the names of them because I watched them as an audience member on the big screen.
Mhm.
One of them was a short horror about a man trying to bring back his wife.
His wife, not animals. His wife, yeah. Because I'm thinking that there was another film, wasn't it?
No, it's that one. What was the name of the one you were going to say?
The one with the animal when he resurrects the animals.
Yeah,
Oh God, here we go. I'm on the spot now.
that's the problem. And
It was like it was about the Knacker Man, wasn't it? But that's not what it was called. Oh God.
Should have kept your mouth shut there, Peter.
I know.
as well as that one,
Drop us out.
there is
Okay,
a
let me look into this for you.
Cunning Man.
It's the
Cunning Man.
That was it.
There is also a
Cunning Man.
feature, I think it was Canadian, about a young gay man trying to come to terms with his sexuality.
Oh yeah.
And I think this played last year.
It was 2020.
Was it?
And it was the film that I was trying to get everybody to go and see, and I couldn't get anybody to go and see it. For whatever reason, I could not get people to go and see this film. Now,
I read the blurb and I came to the festival just to watch it. I think it was an early showing and I thought, oh no, but I don't want to miss this. And I'm so glad that I did watch it. But
10 a.m. we showed that. 10 a.m. and the film was called That Is All.
That's it.
Yeah, I remember that one now.
The bit that really stands out to me so the director, while I've got it in front of me, was Mark Whedon from Canada. And the bit that really stood out for me was when they were on the beach and they've got all the ice moving in. Do you remember that bit? All these massive glaciers kind of floating around them. And I just thought, you could not have shot anything more beautifully if you tried. And the story was really good.
Mm.
It was a good film, yeah.
And does anybody want to shout out the worst film we've watched?
I
I'm not brave enough.
mean, I know what it is.
And every time we mention this film, we get trolled.
We do. So let's not give them
the satisfaction. Yeah.
And let's move into Mr.
But we all know.
Oh, we do.
We
And
all
if you want to know, people watching at home, just PM me. I'll tell you. So Peter.
Oh, is it my another pick again? Isn't it?
Yeah, number 3 pick for you.
Okay, so this was it's a feature, but it's a short sort of feature. I think it's an hour. This I would describe as a puzzle box film.
Mm.
So there's lots of twists. There's lots of unreliable narrator, which I quite like as a theme in films. Yeah, you don't. Again, another one where you don't quite know where it's heading. It's very inventive, and I believe again this is a feature debut from the writer, director, producer, and the film is called Visitor. And yeah, I think in terms of sort of theme and what it's trying to do with different narratives and, as I say, unreliable narrator, it reminded me of some. I mean, this is a sort of a real big this is a big name, but I think this is the kind of for a first film, this is you've got to start somewhere, and I think the direction this filmmaker could possibly go in. It reminded me a lot of sort of Chris Nolan's early films, which obviously is a big compliment. But yeah, the Visitor was excellent. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Keeps you guessing right to the end, and you never quite know where you are with it.
Nice. So Spencer, do you want to move into your third pick?
So this is an interesting one because I don't know if you could necessarily call it a film. So neither a short or a feature. This is a proof of concept, I believe. And I really liked the theme. And it's a film called Colour Me Jane. And it starts off with a wedding. Not an awful lot of explanation as to what exactly is going on. And something kind of nice happens at the wedding to a young lady called Jane, who is disfigured. Something kind of nice happens, and then it kind of twists. But what I really liked about this film is it absolutely had me begging for more. I really wanted to see the bigger picture. I wanted to see everything about this film. And of course, you've got like a really well-known cast here, which is led by Penn Badgley, who most people will know from You. And he is the big bad in You. So it's not like this is a kind of out there performer. But, you know, and he really embraces his role well in this. And there's just I just want more. I want to see this film. I want to see the whole thing. I want to see it made. I want to support a Kickstarter for this film. Whatever happens, this film has to be made.
I think I can see it when people do get to see this. This will take off and people will get this. And as you say, if it is a proof of concept, I can see that definitely happening. So that takes us into Carrie, your next pick.
Carrie Land.
So my next pick is Bite. It's a delightful short. I think it was, if not the first, one of the very first things that I watched when I started watching all of the submissions. And that just like set the tone. It put me in such a great mood. And I think it's just the fairy tale aspect and the rhyming, the whole thing's rhymes, and it's just a delight. It's not like you don't feel for the characters. The main character isn't. He's not exactly likable. He's a bit of a generic generic guy just looking for something. But it's the narration that does it for me. The upbeat and the out there cinematography as well. Like you can see, it's actually tried to do something exciting, and it has worked. It's just a delight.
That's a really cool way of just describing movies. It's just a delight. Stick that on your
It's all about the experience for me. Like if I get the goosebumps, then it's a good moment. If I'm left like that was nice.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I like that movie as well, and it's one that I was hoping was going to get like just. I'm hoping a lot of people go and see that, because I think, as you say, everything that's been going on and everything in the world and whatnot, these are the kind of movies that we should definitely be championing, and that's one that's going to get a nice little vibe out of it when people walk out.
It's all about the vibe.
It's all about the vibe. But I'm not saying that because my daughter will kill me. So, I guess I've got two more picks here, and I am going to go with one that's a little bit left field, but again, I don't want Spencer stealing this, and he knows how much I loved it. I believe this is also a bit of a proof of concept. Again, not necessarily a movie or a short. It's more a TV show. And how Spencer was saying earlier about back in the days of like early days of Channel 4 and everything, and seeing things that reminded you of back when you were watching the TV. And this reminded me of school. being at school and watching these documentaries about chemistry or biology or anything like that. This was Professor Television. It's a great little short that I just fell in love with, and I just gave away my last pick there, and I knew that I just knew this was totally down my alley. The way the guy talks about things, he's talking about actual facts, but he's dropping in like little things that kind of make you think, yeah, he's just making this up. And it's very funny at times. It's mostly stock footage, but the voiceover's fantastic. And again, it just reminded me of being at school, and who didn't love school? So yeah, that was my pick.
Kevin, I've just got to say, there's a bit of this film. I don't think I'm ruining it for anyone. But there's a bit of this film that really cracked me up. And the guy comes up. I can't remember what his exact name is, but the guy comes up and he talks to this character. Let's call him Bob. And it's like, this is Bob. We're going to have a look in his brain, and cuts the whole front of his face off. And I'm just like, okay. Just like, who would do that? Who actually would do that? It's just ridiculous. I love it.
That's what I mean, though, and it was one of those things that when I went on and because obviously you get a little bit of the director's blurb and everything on Film Freeway, the platform that we use. So I went on, I was reading that, and it's on about how like this is like hopefully the first episode of like 9, and I'm like, get the Kickstarter going. I'm gonna donate right now. We're gonna get this made. We need another like 8, 9, 10 episodes of this because it was just fun.
Was there a bit of a Stevie Wonder song in there? I seem to remember. That was my favourite part. Yeah.
I just thought the whole thing just made me laugh. It made me smile, and I wanted.
It was very Dutch, wasn't it? It was very Dutch.
Loved it.
I also loved the whole lack of concept of time. He says, in the next 15 minutes, we're going to tell you, and then you look at the running time, and it's like there's 25 minutes of this film. And then you come back to it later on, and he's like, in the next 10 minutes. And he's like, yeah, there's only 3 minutes left of this film. Yeah, I just loved the humour. The humour was amazing.
Yeah, and hopefully we get more, and let's all chip in and get this made. Even if it's just a YouTube thing, let's get it made.
I'm hearing Kickstarter.
I'm hearing Kickstarter, and I want it. So my fourth pick, and which I thought was going to be my last pick, but it turns out it isn't because we've got one more coming. I went for the short movie West Bottoms, which I kind of spoiled 2 minutes ago. I think Carrie was the only one that spotted that. But I really like West Bottoms. You guys know me. I like a movie that hits in the heart. I like a movie that has really good dialogue. I like a movie that's got just good standout performances, and I think both the lead male and the young girl who plays his daughter, I thought they were both just excellent. He's going through a bit of a time. He's got a little bit of I think he finds out he's got cancer, and that's not great for anyone. So it's kind of like him coming to terms with that, and then trying to link up with his daughter again. And I think for a short that also kind of just looks like a Levi's advert, it really did hit hard, and I loved West Bottoms. I thought it was a great shot. It's one of my favourites of the festival, so that's why I chose it. And with that, we will move back to Carrie.
For me, it's all about, again, how relatable films are. So this short is, I think my theme is shorts here. It's a group of friends who are celebrating one of their friends, their compliments their moving away, so they're having a little leaving party. But throughout, we have this sort of competitive nature between the women of what they're expected to do in such a social situation. And I believe we've only got one sort of inside voice. And it's just that social anxiety that, oh, okay, right, they've done this now. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know this is what we had to do, and they're all sort of trying to one up each other, but not in a way that it's like, oh look, this is the way women have to act. But it was genuinely funny. It was I don't want to call it yet again a delight, but not a lot of films really make me laugh. I'm a bit of a misery when I'm watching them, but this one sort of like, this one got me, as well as Professor Television. This one sort of it tickled me.
And are you going to drop the name on us, or
no? Surprise! Best Friends.
I only asked because I need to put it in the thing.
I really enjoyed Best Friends as well. It was excellent. It was one of the first ones I watched this year, and I was like, a comedy that's actually funny. Thank God. Yeah. we get so many things that the director's comments, tells us that it's a comedy and it's just not funny. But I did genuinely laugh several times during that film, and it's only short as well, so yeah, it packs in the laughs. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, it was a good one. I did enjoy it, and it gives you an insight into how women really think. Isn't that right, Carrie?
What would you like to know?
I'm sensing a big theme of sisters doing it for themselves with Carrie's picks.
Come to the women's toilet and you'll find out.
And with that, we move back on to Spencer.
So I developed a pet hate of a certain type of film last year. There was a certain type of film that came in, and every time it came in, I just wanted to tear my own face off. And it was the lockdown short.
Yeah.
Because there were so many lockdown shorts that really shouldn't have been made. And I appreciate that every film is a labour of love. But you've got to be clever to understand what you're doing with a concept like a lockdown short. And if you're going to make a film that includes Zoom, you've got to be creative and not just accept the fact it's a conversation between people in different rooms. Weirdly enough, this year we also had a load of lockdown shorts. And again, I was thinking to myself, one more, I'm going off the top of the building. And then 3 came in straight after each other, and I enjoyed all 3. I really enjoyed one of them, which I think you're going to mention, Kevin. I might be wrong.
You might be.
I'm going to go for the one that I don't think you're going to mention.
Oh.
And this is the story of a husband and wife who are clearly going through some level of trauma as a result of the COVID lockdown. And he, in this case, the character Joe, played by Paul Bradley, best known as Nigel from EastEnders, is sent to the bottom of the garden to live in the shed. Under the guise of, safety from COVID. But there's a lot more to this story than you realise. And his wife, who's played by Denise Black, she's got a little bit of a game up her sleeve. And the story is called The Man at the Bottom of the Garden. And I just thought, wow, this is great. This is really well told. It's funny. It's charming. It's really well performed. It was relatable. Yeah. Man at the Bottom of the Garden. Your class.
You're absolutely right. We did get some really good sort of lockdown shots this year, but that is one I think I can't remember what the guy's name was. You just said it there, but Nigel from EastEnders is superb in this. Like, he's just so cool, and you just totally vibe on him, and he is relatable as hell. So I get what you're saying with that one. And thank you for not stealing my last pick.
I don't know what it is now. I might have to steal it just for
the lols.
Right. Yeah.
So we will now move on to Peter, and Peter, this is a twofer for you.
Oh, yeah. Right, okay, so we've had the light-hearted one. I'm going to bring things down again because that's my one. That's my role here. I'm the serious one. Phase 5, which is Spanish, short. Yeah, I mean, this was a real gut punch of a film. Very simple concept. Basically, there's a woman and her partner is killed in a motorcycle accident, and we follow over the next 15 to 20 minutes her stage by stage dealing with the grief and the different stages that people go through when they lose someone very suddenly, from denial to anger to heartbreak, etc. The main I mean, it was shot excellently and everything else, but I think the actress, whose name I'm going to absolutely butcher, but maybe Carrie can pronounce it because as the resident Spanish speaker. But I think is it Raquel Alcala?
I didn't see that written.
I'll put it in the comments, Carrie. But she's absolutely fantastic. I absolutely believed every single emotion that she went through in this film.
Yeah, Raquel Alcala. So yeah,
There you go. Exactly how I said it. Thank you very much. Yeah, she is absolutely phenomenal, and the film hangs on her entirely. And it's just one of those things that, yeah, performance was so good, you couldn't dislike that film, even though it's very sad, obviously. But yeah, real quality piece.
So this is going to be your last pick right now, Peter.
Brilliant.
So before you, actually no, we'll leave that till the end. So throw in your last pick now, then.
Okay, so my last pick is another Spanish film, and yeah, it's a good juncture at this point to say. I think we've got at least, I think it's 10 Spanish films in the festival. We do get a lot of submissions every year from Spain. It increases, and I mean, Spencer said earlier there was a lot of films that we just couldn't pack in, and I think there was at least like 6 that I remember were just Spanish ones. And I remember messaging Spencer saying, "Are you sure this isn't in?" Like, there was a couple where I was just like, I couldn't believe that we couldn't get it in because they were so good. But that's how strong the submissions were this year. Yeah, so the Spanish kind of contingency, as I call them, the real quality and the real range of stuff as well, from comedy to really serious stuff to a very excellent revenge film that might be one of Carrie's picks. I'm not sure, but we'll see. But yeah, so a real mixture. So the one I'm going to go with though is Consequences. Oh, is that one of yours, Kev?
Yeah, that was. But it means I can use the one that Spencer said before, so that's all good.
So Consequences follows a teenage boy who I'm guessing is probably about 15, I guess. With his home life, his single parent mother and younger brother. And one day he basically sort of gets picked on by people at school. And he's a really nice kid, he's a really good kid. It's clear from the relationship with his younger brother and his mum. But it kind of looks at how people can fall in with the wrong crowd and get involved in crime and violence in particular, and how that line is very, very thin, can be for people between going to one path and going to another path, choosing the right path and choosing the wrong one. But yeah, as a message in a film, I thought it was excellent. Really, really important message for young people. Obviously, I'm not counting myself as one.
Yeah. The young lad as well.
Oh, he's absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
he's unreal.
Yeah.
And
we should give him a name drop.
Yep,
this one's slightly easier. Eddie Muñez.
Like it.
He is brilliant.
He's great. And if you go to the festival, definitely, check everything out, but definitely check out Consequences as well. That was to be my last pick, but don't worry, I've got a couple more in the chamber. Excellent. So let's move on to Spencer with your last pick, Spencer.
I could quite honestly give you 15 more.
Yep.
But I can't. That's the rules of the game. So, and none of the films that I've actually mentioned are one of my real favourites. I'm not mentioning because we talk about it quite a lot, and you're going to find out about it in just over a week's time. But so I am going to talk about another one that I really like, and I didn't see this until quite late. So for those of you that don't know, I'm not a judge. I just sort of keep all the judges in order. And sometimes I'm like the voice of sanity, which is really funny because when on earth do I become the voice of sanity? So I didn't see this film until about 2 weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. And I think the reason why I really enjoyed it is because there is absolutely no dialogue in this film whatsoever. So, with that in mind, my fellow panel, what film am I talking about?
Could be a few. The most obvious one that comes to my mind is Magician.
Yeah.
You are absolutely correct. And as I said, I was really late on the game on this. It had already gone through like one of the judging sessions and everything before I'd even got to see it. And I really enjoyed it. And kind of, it's both tragic and heartwarming. It's beautifully shot. It's got a cast that anyone should know if they're UK based. But it's not just the people in this case, it's not just people in front of the camera, people behind the camera who you're normally used to being in front of the camera had a hand in this too. And I always say this is like what happens when a group of friends are kind of made redundant and they get together and they make a film. That isn't strictly true with what happened here, but The Magician is literally made by a load of people that are in the TV show Holby. And it's directed by Sarah Jane Potts. And it's produced by her husband, Joseph Milson. So, yeah, I can't describe anything really about this film because it ruins the magic, I think. But no dialogue, really well told, so much depth for a story with no dialogue, and so beautifully captured. Yeah. The Magician.
I'm with you on that one for sure. It's a great shot, and like you say, for something with no dialogue, considering I'm a guy who loves dialogue, it kept me all the way through. So, Carrie, that takes you on to your last pick.
So my last pick is again relatable to an extent. For me, it's more of just a general anxiety of making decisions. That's just, you can easily find me down like a pastoral of Asda having a breakdown because I can't choose between sauces. But it's Copper and Nicole, a young woman. Again, my theme is relatable and women, apparently. She flips a coin to choose what she's going to do of this night. And then we see both of these realities play out together at the same time. And whenever there's like a split screen, you're always worried that, you know, you're going to miss something exciting on one end, but it's done so, you know, you're not just trying to ruin your eyes looking in two completely different directions. And the ending is, yeah, it's not what you'd expect. And I was just left thinking, like, this is why I can't make decisions to save my life. Yeah, but no, it's definitely one of the most interesting shorts that has been submitted this year.
Awesome. And we will move into my last pick, which I've been struggling with this one because Spencer kind of mentioned before about me picking a certain movie, and I really do want to pick that movie, Spencer. But a feature hasn't been mentioned tonight that, again, much like the Coming to the Magician late, I watched this one late on as well. New Material. I just absolutely love that feature. It's hilarious. It's really well written. I think the supporting characters, the two supporting characters of the main lead, are just blinding. Yeah, New Material. Like, if you're gonna watch, I shouldn't really say this, but if you're gonna watch one feature at the festival, make sure it's New Material because I bloody loved it, and that's why I'm picking it. But you should also watch everything else. So please do that.
Everything.
Yeah, watch everything. Get the full pass and watch every single thing, because that's what you're meant to do. So that was my last pick. Does anybody have a name that they would give to a theme for this festival, apart from Carrie's crippling anxiety and women movies?
My one's a really upbeat festival. Look at my picks. Mine's the very shadowy sideline that if you want to watch really depressing grim films.
Films that lurk.
For my part.
We'll watch yours in the middle.
Yeah.
We'll have some upbeat stuff, then we'll go into Peter's selections, and then we'll.
It's weird though, isn't it? Because for while there are films that are truly tragic and devastating, I mean, devastating this year, there's also films that are really, really funny. And I don't care what anyone says, but making a comedy film in the independent film industry is incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time you don't have all those layers of people to interject to your script and say, actually, that doesn't work. That works. This doesn't work. Blah, blah, blah. So you find that a lot of independent films, when it comes to comedy, they don't work. And when it comes to buyers buying those films, they don't get sold. And you really do, when it comes to comedy, you need someone to filter out what is good and what isn't.
Yeah.
And I am amazed by the level of truly funny, laugh out loud films we have this year. And they start on our first night with Sweet Disaster. And they go through the whole festival. New material, very, very funny. Tildy Pops, Man at the Bottom of the Garden. So many laughs.
Best Friends.
So many laughs. Yeah, I just can't. You can't compute. I think, it's very hard to get a really funny film. And we've had some absolute gems this year.
So with that, our festival picks or our mini festival picks that we have, I'm going to recap them. I'm going to recap them. So yeah, easy for me to say. easy for me to say, right? So Peter went with Empty Flower Pot, Colossus, which I think I've spelt right. Visitor, Phase 5, and Consequences, all stellar picks, I have to say. And then Spencer went with Tildy Pops, The Writing Box, Colour Me Jane, Man at the Bottom of the Garden, and The Magician. Carrie went with a very, very women-centric, apart from the first one, selection. And she went for The Stag, Last Orders, Bite, Best Friends, Copper, and Nickel. And my left field picks, because they always are, Door Salesman Dave, Pandemic Spy, Professor Television, West Bottoms, and New Material. Those are the films that we've picked as sort of like our little section that we would have. It's sort of films that we definitely think you should be checking out. But I do want to end, I'm going to start wrapping it up in a little bit, but I do want to end with, does anybody, because you really should go and see all these movies, because we want you to see all these movies. It's the whole point of putting the festival on, on the 19th of May to the 25th of May. But if you want to see me, I'll be there on the 20th till the end. So that's why everybody comes. Does anybody? What are you all shaking your head for? That is mean. That is mean, right? So, does anybody have any other movies that they'd love to throw out there that people should be checking out? And just let's start rattling off a little list of some of the other awesome projects we're showing.
I think it's my enthusiastic nodding.
Yeah, is that like putting your hand up?
Yes, it is. Okay, this is as quick fire as I can get. Old Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Old Windows, made better by the fact that the dual cast will be in attendance for the festival.
Yeah.
So you've got Larry Lamb and Laura Baston. And this is a really, really good show. Absolutely perfectly timed. Love that film. Let's talk about Pretty Boy. And Pretty Boy is the sequel to Blind. And I've had this conversation with the director, Marcel Waltz. And I said that we were all kind of, when it came to Blind.
Yeah.
But Pretty Boy is a step up. Step up. It is, it's something much different. And in terms of, I mean, this is a sequel to an independent film, which, yes, it used to happen a lot, but doesn't necessarily happen so much nowadays. So that's amazing. On the same day, we've got Daddy's Girl, which is very important because anyone that comes and sees this film, you're going to see this film for the last time for 25 years plus. And the reason being is that the producer of this film died without leaving instructions. So, as a lot of people will be aware, these films, they go into limbo and eventually become part of the public domain. Yeah. So unless someone comes out and claims it as the heir, this could be the last time you see Daddy's Girl for 25 years. And if you are a fan of the Saw films, you are going to love Daddy's Girl.
Absolutely.
And let's take things down a notch. On the same day, we've got a short film by a newfound friend for me, and it's called Ruby Rain. And it's a short film. It's very, very low budget. And, you know, you could sit and say this is wrong with it and that is wrong with it. But the one thing that isn't wrong with it is there is a legendary attack that takes place with a cherry blossom just bursting with petals in the background. And Christopher Nolan would be proud of this shot. It is fantastic. And you just look at that scene and you think how long a cherry blossom actually blooms. So to get that right, you know, I had a cherry blossom outside the front of my house for 10 years. And it would be there one day, and 3 days later, it would be gone. All the petals gone. So to get this so well timed, boom, fantastic. Well done.
And just quickly there, we have a comment coming there from Danny Acott, filmmaker. That is one of the directors of Micropubs. He says, "Hey, all, great discussion here. Some great sounding films. Honoured to have our film selected. Sounds like I had a real conundrum to get the selections down. Hope to meet most of you soon." Just wanted to throw that in there because he was the only one that bothered to comment.
You introduced that to the festival, didn't you, Kevin?
Oh, I couldn't possibly say that would be nepotism, Spencer. Come on.
It was a good fun doc. That really interesting.
I came down a few years ago to MCM Comic Con and I met up with Danny and we went to one of the micropubs that is featured in the documentary. I'm all about micropubs now, so yeah, thanks for that, Danny.
Was that the year that you blew us out in Romford, Kevin?
Well, I was totally going to be coming along, and then I looked at how many different tubes I had to get to Romford, and I was like, "Nah, that's all right. I'll pass this time."
Brutal.
He's like, "I'm on my way. Messaging me. I'm coming. I've got to be there for my man. Tom. I'm going to be there. I'll be there. Sorry, Spence. Not going to make it."
It was like It was 7 different tubes, and it took about an hour and a half.
You partied too hard at Comic-Con.
That's the thing. If you know, you know. So is there anything else anybody wants to throw out?
I just want to say very quickly, it depends on where you are. It's definitely not going to take 7 tubes to get to Romford. And on the 24th, you're going to be able to get the Elizabeth line all the way through.
Ooh.
Very true.
And is there any other picks? Carrie, you got some picks you want to throw in?
To be honest, like Spencer hit the nail on the head. He's listing off all of them, but I think for me was just I want to reiterate Daddy's Girl. To be honest, the whole horrific takeover. Treat yourself to full day of horror. I mean, everyone needs it. I'm here sporting the horror T-shirt.
Oh man!
But Daddy's Girl is definitely something that took me back to the years when I was first discovering horror, binge watching the Saws and just everything that was a bit too much for a young. Like I can't remember how old I was, but I was definitely like buying these films in CEX, and they probably shouldn't have been selling them to me. And Daddy's Girl is a film that I absolutely love to hate. Like, if I hate a horror film, you know it's done its job.
Yeah.
So, treat yourselves.
And he's a great like just ass. He's like Costas Mandalore. He just plays it so well. Like Daddy's Girl's a great flick. Like,
absolutely.
Peter, you want to throw some picks?
I can throw some very quick ones out. Yeah. Every year we seem to have a lot of films about dementia. It's always a constant subject that we get every year, and it's hard, I think, to make one now that is original, because all the ways that it's usually done we've seen before, and after a while you think, okay, not another one of these. But there's at least two I think in this year's selection that I would just like to shout out because they're very inventive and they're not shot in the way that some often are. So one of them's called Norma, which is about an old lady who loses her husband and basically kind of is haunted, I guess, by the sort of spirit of her husband, or is she? And the other one is called I've lost the name of it. The Other One, which is a German film, which I'm surprised no one actually picked because I think universally very popular with the panel.
If Bradley had bothered to turn up, that would have been on
it would have done. So I'm raising that for Bradley.
I like that. Fly the flag for Bradley.
Yeah, someone's got to, haven't they? The old boy. Granddad of the group, we affectionately call him. Yep, so those two were great. I mean, just rattle off some others. Wool, I really enjoyed Wool. That was good fun. Dana, that was good fun. That was a nice revenge horror film that I'm surprised wasn't part of Carrie's ones. The Swamp was a really good foreign language film from Finland, shot brilliantly. Europe was, I don't know how to describe Europe, but it was one of those kind of films, very European, that not a great deal really happens, but I really like those kind of films. It's just sort of following a guy and he's sort of a bit out of place and he's looking after a cow. It's very art housey, but yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And yeah, so many others we could talk about.
There is. We've got an extremely strong selection of movies this year, and I think this is. I mean, I've been on board like my 3 years now. Is this third year, fourth year?
Yep.
And I think
this
I
is
mean, it
definitely...
would have been more if you'd bothered to turn up the first year.
Oh God.
Never go
Between you having these little digs and the other night, like, oh yeah, well everybody did it, but Kev does his own thing. Like between those two digs,
I'm all about the dig.
So I'm gonna throw a couple of extra ones. Obviously, absolutely, Micropub's the new local. Check it out. I know the history of that movie and the guys getting it made and everything. That was a labor of love. It was a long slog. So do the guys a favor and check that out. I think I'm probably going to butcher the name of this, but me and Carrie both loved. Was it Hikikomori?
Yes, and you didn't butcher the name.
We were both big fans of that, and that's just locked down in a microcosm. Just please check that out. And the last one I want to quickly mention is Beats, which was another one that threw me for a loop, to be completely honest. Very, very real, very raw, pretty gritty, and just a great shot.
Yep.
So On that, does anybody have anything they want to add? And then we can bug out and get ourselves away.
Okay, I'm going to mention the other lockdown short
Ah, yes. Yes,
because
go on.
you've not mentioned it. So
Yeah, we absolutely have to, because when you want to talk about lockdown originality, this has it in spades.
So, a thriller, a mystery, a crime, told by candles. And that is the film Candle Cops,
Yeah.
which you can see alongside The Magician and St. Baptiste's, which is a mockumentary on, what would you call it?
Evangelical
Sort of like,
Church.
yeah, it's very officey like. But the other thing that I need to mention, and this is something that nobody here knows.
Ooh.
So, anybody that studied our website will know that after the events, after the award ceremony, there was some suspicious blanks. And I have, although I've left the blanks in there for now, they will actually disappear. We have a special preview. At 9:30 on Wednesday, the 25th of May, we have a special preview of a film that literally was finished last week, the week before. And it's called The Real Cops and Robbers. And it is the story about a £1 million heist on Asda. And it's a documentary.
On Asda?
On Asda. It's a documentary. And it's made by Mickey Cornwall, who also made the film Court Number 5, which is showing on Saturday.
Yes.
Which stars Jamie Winston and my mate Mark Bannerman.
And it also has, let's not forget, the best line of dialogue in any project of the festival. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get taken down, but check this movie out.
Who do you want to let everybody know who says the line so they know what they're looking for?
Jamie Winston says it, and she delivers it like only Jamie Winston can.
Like a banshee.
Oh, she's so good when she delivers that line. I was just sat there like, yeah. She's also in the movie Knuckle Dust, which T-shirt I am wearing. Pimp out James, Carrie got to pimp out her T-shirt. There's mine. Knuckle Dust. James Kermack represent. So,
you know what else I forgot to mention, don't you?
What's this?
So, one of these is quite relatable to yourself, Kevin. But during the film festival, we have a number of talks. Yeah?
We do.
Yeah, so if you go on to... So even if you're not buying a full festival pass, you can come along and attend one of these talks. All you need to do is go on our website, click the links through, book the talk on Eventbrite. It's completely free. But I genuinely think we've got a really nice collection of talkers who will tell you what you need to know to help you on your filmmaking journey. And so I'm going to quickly go through these. I'm sorry to hog your show, Kevin.
No, that's what you're here for.
If I don't do it, how are people going to know? So
we are here to haul things.
We're going to start off on the Thursday at 5 o'clock. Before we get everyone drunk, we are going to have Meet the Selections team. So Peter, Carrie, Bradley and Louise, hopefully, will be up on stage. Obviously, Kevin won't be there because he's a loser.
He's got 27 trains, hasn't he?
Stole my line, dude.
And they are going to be able to tell our audience what it is that they look for in a film. And they'll be able to give you some guidance on how to get your film selected for a film festival. Maybe we'll put some examples of what people do right and what they do wrong. So that's really useful. Obviously, from Saturday all the way through till Tuesday at 9 p.m, we have these sessions here. That's Nerdly Live. And that is with an audience and filmmakers whose films we've shown over the course of the day. And that's going to be fun because obviously it's hosted by Kevin. And he's going to be a northerner in East London.
With my cheeky lamp on
there. So the really good thing about that is that the audience are not going to be able to just come and watch and have a laugh. They're going to be able to engage with the filmmakers, ask questions of the filmmakers, maybe raise some topics for Kevin and the guys to discuss. So on Sunday, May the 22nd, we've got mental health advocate Lee Hunter, who's going to be joining our very own Peter Blunden for a kind of chat session on about, the importance of talking about your mental health. So that's good. And mental health in the filmmaking industry is probably one of the big issues, because at the end of the day, every single aspect of the film industry, you are being judged. Whereas in a day-to-day life, that doesn't necessarily happen. So that's really good. So you've got Lee Hunter then. On Monday at 4:00,
here we go.
You've got me for the full package. The full package. So we're going to be talking about the things that you need to do, again, to get your film seen, and then what happens beyond getting your film seen. So we're talking electronic press kit. We're talking social media. We're talking about taking people's advice and maybe cutting your film by 5 minutes. We're talking about your director's statement on Film Freeway. We're talking about the sort of festivals that you enter, how to investigate a festival, and understand what it is that you are entering and what they show. And then, once we've done all that, what a buyer looks at for a film. So moving on from that, we've got Nicole Pott on Tuesday. Nicole is a very good friend of the film festival. She's had films with us for a couple of years, and she's a very loyal, very dependable filmmaker. But she's also very young. This is a director in her 20s. She runs film festivals and she makes films, and she's not too proud to put on a different hat to make sure that she keeps in the industry and relevant. So she will be giving some great advice to people about directing and just filmmaking and the ability to wear different hats. Then an hour on from her, we've got Aviana Snow, and she's going to be talking about acting, equality and equity, because for those of you that don't know, Aviana Snow is like the regional chair for equity. So she'll be talking about not just her career, but why equity is good for filmmakers and performers. And then on Wednesday the 25th, you've got Richard Colton. And Richard has worked with everyone from Norman Wisdom through to Luke Goss and Bai Ling, of all people, and Sunita. He's another guy that's worn multiple hats, and he's going to be talking to you about finance, getting your films financed, how to do it and what to do. And then he's going to be talking about how to get your film sold, what you need to do to get your film sold. And then hopefully, although I haven't 100% narrowed this down, we're going to be talking with Tony Fadell, and we're going to be talking to him about organisation skills within the film industry and how you should never, like the connections that you make and how valuable it is to make connections and keep them. So yeah, we've got that going on. And then, of course, 64 Q&As.
Just 64. That's
Just
all.
the 64.
64 Q&A sessions. What more do you want out of life?
65 Q&As?
As luck will have it, we'll squeeze the 65th in. But, you know, I'm not just saying this because we are Romford Film Festival. I don't care what anyone says. We offer tremendous value as a film festival. I don't know a film festival in the world that will give you 7 days of entertainment for 35 quid. And we'll look after you like our team looks after you. I mean, I won't look after you because I'm just miserable. But, you know, there's nice little clusters that happen. There's always nice little groups. If you're thinking about coming but worried that you might be on your own, you will never be on your own for long at the Romford Film Festival. We will befriend you and we will welcome you into our strange, dysfunctional family. And once you are in there, you will be trapped forever.
I can say that that's true. I attended once on my own, and look where I am.
Absolutely.
I'm cancelling these train tickets. Right, guys. This has been absolutely awesome. I just want to put this back up for Carrie. Yeah, she's got a nice little comment there. I'm assuming that's mostly aimed at yourself. Andrea Arsandel, is that right?
Yep.
Yes, Andrea Sandel.
Right. Great discussion all. Looking forward to the festival. True re-networking in toilets. That's how I got cast to the project this year. So,
I'm
Carrie,
telling you, you're all missing out on the treat that it is. I mean, I can't guarantee that Andrea was drunk, but going into the women's toilets drunk is just a different world.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've been in, but it wasn't legally. So on that, guys, Spencer, Peter, Carrie, this has been absolutely brilliant. This was just a little bit extra to sort of promote the festival a little bit, promote some of the movies that are going to be at the festival, and just keep that promotion train rolling. And really, I just want to sit down and have a chat because it was a lonely Tuesday night. So how would you guys like to wrap this out? I'll let you guys say goodbye, and then we'll just go. Not all at once.
Carrie.
Yeah. So I am excited to meet people at the festival, and anyone who is Spanish or speaks Spanish, come say hello. I also speak Portuguese, so let me just throw that one out there.
How many languages do you speak, Pierre?
I speak many, but I would say also themed cocktails. I'm just going to plug those because they went down a treat at the horror festival, and the bar will be very much open. But yeah, £35 for a guest for a festival pass is crazy money, crazy. So take advantage.
And Spencer, you want to wrap us out?
Yeah, come join us. You'll have a lovely time, and I promise not to kill you.
Oh, and there's a promise you can take to the bank. I like that. So with that, we are going to end this here. This has been Nerdly Out Loud. We are the official channel of nerdly.co.uk. As the guys say, I am going to be down there as well. So we're going to be doing live Nerdly sessions. So if you're not there, you can chime in on the Facebook and the YouTube and everything. Be able to put comments in there. I'll be able to take questions from there and everything like that. Hopefully, I'm saying that. I might be promising a bit too much, but we can definitely try. I always like to try. So do all that good stuff, like, subscribe, everything like that, and get yourself over to the Romford website on www.romford.co.uk, or is it .com?
RomfordFilmFestival.com.
That's the one. I even have a banner. Wait there. There we go. Check out that website right there. Check out those dates right there. The Premier Cinema. Get yourself to Romford. It's going to be awesome. And I'm going to be there. So there you go.
It's like an upmarket version of Cannes.
An upmarket version,
which is on at the same time. So like if you can't afford Cannes, come to Romford. It's classy.
It's classy. So I'm going to roll us out with this little bumper, and then we will end there. So